She was a proud Indian, and she was proud of everything that was represented by India and its people. She was also a great nationalist. Indira Gandhi was a very courageous leader with a great strength of character and conviction. She could withstand any pressure. She would not be intimidated nor threatened when it came to defending constitutional democracy, a pluralistic society, liberal, where the founding fathers of our republic had made a commitment to the people that there will be justice, there will be liberty, there will be equality. That's what she was committed to uphold. All nations and all societies do celebrate their heroes. So do the people of India as we celebrate and commemorate Indira Gandhi's centenary year. Brilliantly, emotional journey for me too. I came across a treasure trove of information, Rashtrapati ji, archival documents, photographs, anecdotes, many I was not aware of. Surely it was not possible to include all that in one book. The book which will be released, as you will go through the pages, the words, the images, you will be able to see the remarkable journey of her life, her great contribution and her commitment. We are sure that the people of India shall remember with gratitude Indira Gandhi's sacrifice, and a memory shall inspire generations to follow. With these words, once again,
may I request the Congress Vice President, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, to please present the first copy of the book to the Honorable President of India, Mr. Pranab. May I request the Congress Vice President, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, to please address the gathering now.
Honorable President Shri Pranab Mukherjee ji, Honorable Vice President Shri Mohammad Hamid Ansari ji, respected Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, Anand Sharma ji, distinguished guests, I'd like to welcome all of you here. A lot of familiar faces in the crowd. I'm actually giving Congress President's speech here today. The doctors have said that she should rest and she should not come here. So I'm going to read what she has asked me to read. Very soon, we will celebrate the 100th birth anniversary of Indira Gandhi. She left us 33 years ago, but some of us present here today have living and lively memories of her. The Honorable President was one of her most valued colleagues for a decade and a half. The Honorable Vice President too had worked closely with Prime Minister Indira Gandhi ji. They knew her as a Prime Minister and a political leader, as a decision maker. Like so many others, they admired her for her courage, her tenacity, and her devotion to duty. But I will leave it to the scholars and analysts to speak and write about her legacy to the country. I had the immense good fortune of living with her for 16 years. The Indira Gandhi I knew was the woman, the nurturing mother-in-law, mother and grandmother. What a remarkable person she was. How kindly she welcomed me, nervous and shy as I was, into her home. How patiently she taught me to adapt to this new country, my country and my family. She understood my difficulties, drew me into her heart, and opened my eyes to India's great history and culture. She had grown up in the heat and turbulence of the freedom struggle, knowing wealth as well as sacrifice, comfort as well as deprivation, sorrow as well as joy. Her mother's illness and untimely death, her own struggle as a young girl, with loneliness and loss, made her deeply sensitive to the pain of others. It made her protective of them. She was a friend, she was a mentor, and she was always careful not to impose her will on me, except in little things like forcing me to drink milk and eat spinach, which I detested while I was expecting my first child. She disregarded distinctions of rank, caste, and creed. She had absolutely no time for snobbishness, ostentatious, or pomposity, and was quick to detect hypocrisy and insincerity. The brand of patriotism that I witnessed in Indira Gandhi was a noble and generous one, that she imbibed from the notables of the freedom movement, from her beloved father, and above all, from Gandhiji, her dearest Babu. It was an all-inclusive, all-embracing nationalism, rooted in a philosophy of compassion and non-violence. This made her a proud Indian, but also a proud citizen of the world, with a broad and tolerant outlook. She was at home in many cultures and milieux. She read widely and had a multitude of interests outside politics. She kept up a correspondence with many people from divergent backgrounds. Not everybody knows that she kept in touch with writers, artists, and activists, and had enduring relationships with them. But it is well known that her love of nature made her an ecologist miles ahead of her time. Indira Gandhi belongs to history. Scholars and commentators will continue to debate and argue about her legacy. In this, her birth centenary year, she will command special attention, and that should be welcomed. I hope and trust that the real Indira Gandhi will come to be known to future generations, and the values that she not only stood for, but lived for and died for. Thank you very much.
May I now request the Honourable former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, to please address the august gathering.
Respected Rashtrapati Ji, respected Up Rashtrapati Ji, Shri Rahul Gandhi Ji, Shri Anand Sharma Ji, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for me to be present at the launch of the centenary commemorative volume on India's illustrious Prime Minister, Srimati Indira Gandhi. I had the privilege to work with her in various capacities, which informed me and made me aware of her views, development priorities, and her deep and abiding commitment to the well-being of the poor and the underprivileged sections of our society. She was born in a family of freedom fighters. As a child, she closely witnessed the freedom struggle transformed into the biggest mass movement in the annals of human history. She was an active participant who, inspired by Mahatma Gandhi and her illustrious father Jawaharlal Nehru's courage and determination, was passionate about India's freedom and the right of Indian people to live with dignity. Indira ji worked closely with Jawaharlal Nehru and also shared a privileged relationship with Mahatma Gandhi. She observed the defining phase of the freedom movement, the aftermath of partition, the bloodshed and forced migration of tens of millions of people in the wake of partition, and the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi. Indira ji was a close observer of Nehru's vision of India as the foundations were laid for building India into a modern state and secular democracy. Indira ji took charge as Prime Minister at a time when India was economically most vulnerable. 2 wars in 3 years, China 1962 and Pakistan 1965, had considerably affected our economy. The challenge was aggravated by 2 successive monsoon failures in 1965 and 1966. India was then critically dependent on America for food aid. She took upon herself the challenge to make India self-reliant in food with grit and determination, surprising and silencing her opponents who had questioned her ability to face challenges that appeared insurmountable. Indira ji was quick to realize that for India to maintain a sovereign and independent policy in our external relations, it cannot remain weak and dependent on rich countries for food and economic aid. She vigorously pushed the Green Revolution. Indira ji made self-reliant and Indira ji made us self-reliant and secured the right to determine our path of autonomous growth and economic development. Ladies and gentlemen, it is equally important to recall that independent India inherited an economy which was ravaged by centuries of colonial rule and neglect. A large majority of our people were pushed into abject poverty and denied access to adequate amount of food, health care, and education. Rebuilding this economy and lifting tens of millions out of poverty was a daunting challenge. Indira ji accepted this challenge. She had compassion for the poor and the marginalized, the tribals and the scheduled castes. Indira ji gave a clarion call, Garibi Hatao, and announced a radical economic and social development program to implement it. She pursued Nehruji's economic objectives with vigor and strengthened the public sector. Indira ji was probably one of the earliest leaders of the world who realized the need to create awareness all round to the protection of the environment. In her famous speech at Stockholm, in the first summit on environment, she had said that poverty was the greatest polluter, and therefore development and protection of the environment have to go hand in hand. The 1971 Bangladesh crisis, an influx of some 10 million of refugees from Bangladesh into our country presented a formidable challenge. The way Indira ji handled this crisis got universal acclaim and admiration. Her contribution to the liberation of Bangladesh and standing up in solidarity with the suffering millions of people can never be forgotten. She is remembered with love and affection by the people of Bangladesh. Indira ji was conscious that India must expand its scientific and technological capacities to ensure that it remained globally competitive. She pushed forward the nuclear and space programs launched by Jawaharlal Nehru, Pokhran nuclear test of 1975 and 1975 launch of Aryabhat were a testimony to India's growing capacity in the field of science and technology. Indira ji was India's Prime Minister, but also an acknowledged leader of the developing countries. She effectively led the non-aligned movement during a critical period of history when the Cold War had sharply divided the world. She believed in world peace, and her voice was heard with respect in international fora. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure that this book, India's Indira, with the rich narrative and archival material, will benefit the readers and inform them of her worldview and the legacy that she had left behind of an India committed to sustainable development and inclusive growth. A nation strong, united, and secular. History will remember with respect Indira ji's sacrifice and everlasting contribution. Thank you.
May I now invite the Honourable Vice President of India, Mr. Mohammad Hamid Ansari, to please address the illustrious gathering.
Respected Rashtrapati ji, Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, Rahul Gandhi ji, Anand Sharma ji, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. A centenary volume is in the nature of an offering. It is perhaps the best way of paying homage to a historic personality and in understanding the significance of her life and work and its relevance to a new and younger generation inadequately acquainted with the world of yesterday. Indira Gandhi ji was such a personality. She lived in a period of turmoil and change in the country, in the neighborhood, and in the world. Destiny bestowed on her the role of being a principal actor. She was revered, admired, even disliked. Controversy did not deter her. On the contrary, it strengthened her resolve to persist in her quest for ideals dear to her. She succeeded in good measure, faltered in places, left her imprint, and earned her place in history. The contributions to the volume before us testify to it. Jai Hind.
May I now request the Honourable President of India, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, to please share his thoughts with us.
don't think it will be necessary. Good evening. Shri Muhammad Hamid Ansari, Vice President of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh, former Prime Minister of India, Shri Rahul Gandhi, Vice President, All India Congress Committee, Shri Anand Sharma, editor of the book, senior Congress leader, Shri Shanu Kapila, Director, Academic Foundation, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me to receive the first copy of the Centennial volume on Mrs. Indira Gandhi, one of the most remarkable personalities of the 20th century. Indiraji's entire life was infused with a tremendous passion for India and its people and deep-rooted commitment to our core values. She was filled with an intense desire to see India rise above poverty and deprivation, as well as occupy a rightful place in the committee of the nations. Her life was a saga of courage and conviction, fearlessness in action, boldness in decision were the hallmarks of Mrs. Indira Gandhi. Indiraji waged throughout her life a relentless war against communal and sectarian forces. She strove to successfully transcend diverse identities of caste, community, religion, and creed, and in the process established a direct connect with people throughout the length and breadth of the country. It was this unhindered rapport that made her acceptable from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, Mizoram to Dwarka, with only one identity, Indian, not any other identity. The Centennial volume contains a large number of writings on various aspects of Indiraji's life, personality, by many. I have also narrated a small piece, my views, though I had the privilege of elaborating in detail on the beginning of the centenary year, 19th November last year. Indiraji assumed office, as Dr. Manmohan Singh very correctly pointed out, when India was in the face of an acute economic and financial crisis. Fourth five-year plan could not be financed. Public sector outlay could not be worked out in time because of the lack of resources. Two consecutive droughts in 1965 and 1966 made the food situation worse, and almost truly it was a situation from sheep to mouth. The varying conditions of the food loan of US Public Law 480 and other donor countries created the situation which was not at all conducive for any self-respecting nation. She took up these challenges with her characteristic tenacity and brought to an end India's dependence on food suppliers. Within the tenure of her Prime Ministership, and when she demitted office on 22nd March 1977, India's food production has reached more than 127 million tons from 50 million tons, and India was near self-sufficient in food production, and after that there was no need of major food import except some critical supply necessitated occasionally. And thanks to the policy, hard work of the farmers, our agricultural scientists, this year we are going to produce more than 273.7 million tons of food grains. Indiraji's resolve and abilities were on full display in 1971. Indiraji combined bold and quick decision-making with careful planning, adequate preparedness, single-minded focus to provide a helping hand to 700 million people of the then East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, to achieve their right of self-determination. She established herself as a leader with nerves of steel and scripted a unique chapter in contemporary India's and world history. The foreign policy, Indiraji was a champion of new international economic order, maintained vigorous opposition to apartheid and opposed discrimination of any kind, anywhere in the world. She gave a new impetus to the non-aligned movement after the 7th Non-Aligned Summit. During Indiraji's tenure as Prime Minister, India made rapid progress in several fields: agriculture, industry, science, technology, and social services. She had the determination to carry on the objective which she believed is necessary for the development and welfare of the country. I can draw the attention of this distinguished audience to a single fact. It is known to everybody. By a fraction of vote, the abolition of the Privy Bill, rather relating Constitution Amendment Bill, was defeated in Rajya Sabha. It obtained majority support, but not 2/3 of the members present and voting in support of the bill. It happened around 5:36 in the evening. The government of India worked whole night. Bill was defeated. But it was found out by the constitutional experts that the privileges obtained by the individual rulers, each one of them, are arising out of a contract made by the then ruler with the government of India after the formation of India after 1947 partition. And you imagine, more than 500 princely rulers' contracts were terminated, and orders for each termination of such contract were issued by President, the then President, from Rashtrapati Bhavan, Rashtrapati Nilayam at Hyderabad House where he was staying at that particular point of time. Of course, later on it was nullified again by the Supreme Court. That's another issue. But the short point which I'm trying to drive at, that she left no stone unturned to achieve the objective which she had in her mind for the necessity of the country and the situation. Congress was defeated in 1977. I remember. I was a junior colleague of her, being the Minister of State, independent charge of revenue and banking. When I met her, she told me the first sentence, and perhaps the one most important sentence, Pranab, don't get unnerved by defeat. This is the time to act. And she acted. Because of the political differences of opinion within the party, I am not going to comment on it. Another split took place within a short span of time. After 1969, it was in 1978 January. I remember, as I was a small actor in that part of the activities, on 2nd January 1978, she was elected Congress President. And by 20th of January, she completed the formation of the Working Committee, Central Parliamentary Board, appointed the ad hoc committees of the PCCs, and prepared the party to face general election to the state assemblies of Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Assam, Arunachal, and of course it was then Nepal, not Arunachal. Arunachal became later as a state in 1980, after 85. I'm talking of 78. And won decisively with 2/3 majority, Andhra and Karnataka, and emerged as the single largest party in Maharashtra, and along with the other Congress, formed the government. Difference between 2nd January and 6th March, one can understand how quickly she had to take decisions and how decisively and determinedly she took those decisions. I think this is the characteristics of Indira Gandhi. In the centenary year, people will remember for her various contributions. Perhaps the largest number of literatures from all over the world have come out on her life, her sacrifice, her death. I remember, still I cannot forget it. I have said it, shared it with many friends on many occasions. As a student of history, I was mortally afraid to do anything with Golden Temple. And as member of the then CCP, I could not avoid my responsibility of co-sharing the decisions. But in meeting itself, I told, perhaps the most dangerous decision we are taking. Always it comes to my mind. The plight of Ahmed Sabdari, when after the 3rd battle of Panipat, he did something wrong with Golden Temple, and what plight he had to face. It's not that she did not know it. She knew it very well. And she told, sometimes history demands some action which may not prove correct later on, but perhaps most relevant at that time. This decision cannot be avoided. I have no intention of festering the wound. All of us are fully aware of. But the short point which I am trying to drive at, the fearlessness in her action, and on report of various intelligences, pouring on from, look at the differences of the time for few months, but she did not make an inch change in the policy which she had. Indira ji had the second largest innings as Prime Minister of this country. In first instance, from January 1966 to 22nd March 1977, 11 years and 2 months, and again from 15th January 1980 to 31st October 1984, 4 years and 8 months. And what legacy she left? During these almost 16 years Prime Ministership of India, during her tenure, India became the third largest reservoir of technically and scientifically trained and competent manpower, the fifth military power, the sixth member of the nuclear club, and began the race for space in space science and technology, where we are almost third, fourth. It began during her tenure, and India was then seventh. Those who have worked closely with her in her short period in political wilderness remember how active and how determined she was to have the objective. One of her bitterest critics has written, given a vivid description of her Belchi visit. Everybody gave up hope. Said it is impossible. Her response was, if we are to work whole night, I am ready for that. She did it. And she proved that what she decides to do, she does not hesitate to have that. I am glad. And thanks to Sri Anand Sharma and his colleagues for bringing out this beautiful volume in connection with the centenary year of Srimati Indira Gandhi. As I started my observations at the beginning, one of the remarkable personalities of the 20th century all over the world, and to the people of India, even today, after her passing away in 1984, 31st October, she is the most acceptable ruler, Prime Minister of a democratic country. Even today, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Jai Hind.
May I now request the Director, Academic Foundation, the publishers of India's Indira, Mr. Sanu Kapila, to please give the vote of thanks.
Honorable President of India, Shri Pranab Mukherjee, Honorable Vice President, Shri Hamid Ansari, former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh Ji, Vice President of Indian National Congress, Shri Rahul Gandhi, Senior Congress Leader and Editor of the commemorative volume, Shri Anand Sharma, Your Excellencies present here, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Representing Academic Foundation, the publishers of this commemorative volume, India's Indira, a Centennial tribute. For me, it is indeed a matter of great pride and honor that I stand before such an august gathering to deliver the vote of thanks. First and foremost, on behalf of everyone present here, may I express our enormous gratitude to the Honorable President of India, Shri Pranab Mukherjee, for his gracious presence here this evening and for sharing his valuable thoughts, not merely from the standpoint of his present position, but also as someone who had the rare opportunity to know and closely work with the great leader of modern India, the legendary Mrs. Indira Gandhi. The book also carries a tribute in form of a chapter contributed by the Honorable President. Thank you very much, sir. We are extremely grateful to the Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Hamid Ansari, for releasing this significant work that celebrates the life and role of India's most beloved and charismatic leader. The book also includes his tribute too. Thank you, sir. We feel honored to have amongst us this evening our former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh Ji. Thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion and sharing your thoughts. We are extremely thankful to the Indian National Congress and its leadership to have once again reposed faith in Academic Foundation by giving us this wonderful opportunity to publish this important volume. As we worked on the project, we felt greatly encouraged by the level of personal interest taken by the Congress President, Srimati Sonia Gandhi Ji, who keenly saw the working copy, page by page, offering critical inputs and also facilitating access to some of the rare archival images that we were finally able to include in this volume. She has also written the foreword to this volume. I would also like to specially thank the Congress Vice President, Shri Rahul Gandhi, for being amongst us this evening. His presence is indeed inspiring. To bring out a coffee table volume in a relatively short time span implies involvement of a whole lot of people, institutions, and processes. However, we have been blessed to have been guided and led by the editor of this publication, Shri Anand Sharma, whose contribution to the volume goes far beyond the preface and the comprehensive introduction. He conceived and steered the project. May I add, Academic Foundation had the privilege of publishing for the Indian National Congress 3 commemorative volumes previously, all edited by Shri Anand Sharma. These were The Gandhian Way in 2007, Journey of a Nation in 2010, Remembering Jawaharlal Nehru in 2014, all under his able editorship. Doing the present, the 4th one, under him, this meant while on one hand we were all too familiar with his exacting standards and his eye for detail, we still had no escape from its hard taskmastership, which, like always before, resulting in making us deliver beyond what we knew our capabilities were. Sifting through nearly 30,000 pictures, discussing finer aspects of content organizations, and striving to improve even at the last minute, we greatly value the understanding we have come to share working with Shri Anand Sharma. It has been yet another remarkable learning experience and a very fulfilling one. We are deeply grateful to him. Finally, towards the success of today's event, we are extremely thankful to each one of you being here this evening, including our friends from the media. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise now for the singing of the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Kindly remain in your places until the President and other dignitaries have